Good evening, welcome to Central News for Wednesday, 24th of July. I'm Amy Forrest. In today's news, a big international name is coming to Hamilton for the National Country Music Awards. America's Juice Newton will be headlining the evening on Saturday, the 17th of August at Founders Theatre in Hamilton. Marketing Director Grace Martin says they are so happy to have secured such a big star for the event.
Well, she, way back in the 80s, I would think it would have been, she had some very big hits. Queen of Hearts, Angel of the Morning. Anybody in my age will know of them, and I'm sure most young ones will have heard the songs at least.
Mayor Ross Patterson has a challenge for the Western Bay of Plenty District Mayoralty. Mark Boyle, Te Puke Economic Development Group Managing Director, announced his candidacy in a press release and says he has been encouraged to stand by a wide range of people and groups across the Western Bay. Currently, Mark's engaged in a range of projects and programs to take Te Puke forward. He intends to broaden the approach across the entire Western Bay district, offering solutions to problems and driving initiatives that attract investment, grow industry and business, and create jobs. Current Mayor Ross Patterson announced last Thursday he would be re-standing in this year's local body elections on October 12th. Independent Kiwifruit Growers Association is calling for an independent inquiry into the kiwifruit industry, claiming Zespri and its watchdog organisations are too closely linked. IKGA says they have no confidence in the ability of Kiwifruit New Zealand or New Zealand Kiwifruit Growers Incorporated to act as effective watchdogs on the activities of Zespri. In a statement from IKGA Grower Liaison Officer Ross Hart, the group says there are questions that are not being asked about the activities of Zespri, the way it operates and how grower funds are dealt with by Zespri. Now for our region's weather. Hamilton, you have a few showers hanging around for your Thursday with a high of 14 and a low of 6. And Tauranga, the rain will set in for you around late morning tomorrow with a high of 16 and a low of 6. Just ahead, which option will be chosen for restoring the Makatu wetlands to the way they were? Welcome to Central News on TV Central. The Kaituna River is a big part of the Bay of Plenty. In 2009, a strategy was developed, the Kaituna River and Ongatoro Makatu Estuary Strategy. Right now, the Regional Council is seeking feedback on the redirecting of the river to create wetlands in Makatu and which option to go ahead with.
So the environmental effects are, broadly speaking, similar. The rediversion will have benefits for the estuary by increasing the amount of water that comes from the river, which will decrease the amount of water that has to come in on an incoming tide from the sea, which will reduce the amount of sand that gets brought in through the course of a year. Also, the reduction in salinity will mean that we can re-establish wetlands around the margins of the estuary where they've disappeared from, and we hope to enhance that by acquiring some land north of the Fords Cut and restoring that actively to wetlands, which it was up until about 1963.
The original diversion in 1956 was done to protect that low-lying land from flooding. Will you be able to protect that low-lying land, or will you have to purchase some of the land?
There's one particular piece of land that is not currently protected by significant stop banks. So a lot of the land in that area pays a significant rate per hectare per year to protect themselves from flooding. But there's 26 hectares of land north of what's called the Fords Cut, and that isn't very well protected. Now, if we introduce a lot more water into the system, particularly flood flows, we would increase the risk of flooding to that land, and that's one of the reasons why we'd like to acquire it and turn it into wetland again, rather than having to build a stop bank, which could cost more than the land is potentially worth.
Where are you up to now on the project?
Well, I was made project manager in the middle of last year, so we've spent a bit of time working out what we'd like to do and doing some modelling and some concept designs. We've just spent a couple of months talking to a large number of stakeholders, tangata whenua, landowners, environmental groups, commercial fishermen, the Coast Guard, the Surf Life Saving Club, anyone who's got an interest really, or who stands to benefit or lose from the proposal. And we've been talking to them about these two options. We're now crystallising our view on what the preferred option should look like, and we'll be taking that to Council in early August. Then after it's been to Council, we'll take it to the wider public and say this is what we think should happen. We'll then spend the rest of 2013 and into early 2014 doing the detailed modelling and assessment of environmental effects that we need to do to get resource consents for the project to occur.
So when is it expected that you'll break land?
The capital has been allocated in our council's 10-year plan in the 2015, 16, 17 financial years. So if all goes well, we'd be looking at the latter part of 2015 to start construction.
Unfortunately, Lakes Rotorua and Rotoiti are at quite a high pollution level, and some say high PCP levels. Will this translate into the Makatū estuary?
Well, that's an interesting perception, and that perception was also part of the reason why the Kaituna River and O Ngātoro Makatū strategy was formulated. But in reality, the water from Lake Rotorua and the Rotoiti, when it comes through Aokere Falls, it's only carrying 11 faecal coliform units per 100 mils. So if you recall those other numbers we talked about last week, where at Te Matai, near AFCO, it is at 75 faecal coliform units per 100 mils, and then when it gets to Te Tumu, at the bottom of the river, it's at 201. So most of the contamination, effluent contamination, is actually coming in from the streams around Te Puke.
And what about the PCP contamination?
Yeah, well, I think there's a site around the Waipa stream in the Lake Rotorua catchment which is potentially contaminated from timber treatment or something like that. But there has been testing of PCP in the river, in the Kaituna River, between 2007 and 2010, and there's no concern about any contamination from that source.
So what is expected will be those levels of kaimoana?
That's the $64 million question, really. Ecosystems take a long time to respond to changes, and some of the negative effects of the 1956 diversion took nearly 20 years to happen. So the salinity increased, some of the plants couldn't tolerate that increased salinity, and they started to die off. It maybe took 10 years for them to die. Then the erosion of the land that they were growing on maybe took another 10 years. So I can't put my hand on my heart and say, I'll promise you 10 times as many pippies next year. I think we can expect rejuvenation of some of these shellfish beds and also finfish, but how much and over what time frame is a bit of an unknown at this stage.
Makatū estuary is quite popular for surf casting, so will that be affected?
Yeah, well, surf casting, I think Te Tumu Cut is the most popular Western Bay of Plenty District Council reserve in terms of users, and that's people going down there to catch kahawai and snapper. Also for whitebaiting during the whitebait season. We don't expect that this proposal will reduce the success of fishing at that site, and it might even improve the fishing down at the Makatū entrance if there's more fresh water passing through the estuary again.
You can view the details of the options on boprc.gov.nz and follow the links. Coming up next, we see what is happening with Sport Waikato. Welcome back. Sports Waikato have some exciting initiatives happening over the winter. Hilary Entwistle caught up with Ruth Stanley to find out all things sport in the Waikato.
Welcome to the program, Ruth. So tell us about Sportmaker.
Well, Sportmaker is a new program that we've just initiated this year, and it's all about sport volunteers. And in the past, Sport Waikato we've just had annual functions where clubs, schools or anyone who's involved with someone who is a volunteer in sport would nominate them, and we just have an annual function. But we thought it's a way better idea just to be recognising volunteers throughout the year. So this year we've initiated that Sport Maker project, and clubs and schools can still nominate them, but we'll have recognition each month. So those people will go in the draw to win merchandise, they'll get a thank you card, and also they will be able to use the Sport Maker loyalty card, which is local businesses will come on board to recognise sport volunteers as well, so they might get a discount or some sort of incentive to shop at their shop. So it's really just about saying how great volunteers are and how they make sport happen, so that's why they're called Sport Makers. But we just want to recognise them all year round rather than just once a year.
So you're getting 12 a year now? That's quite good, isn't it?
In sports too, I mean, their base, summer sports are a certain time, winter sports, so we kind of found that we'd miss out on some of the sports over summer by having the nomination time in the winter, because clubs sort of close down. So it's just a way that everyone gets recognised during the year.
You cover off all seasons. So when Sport Waikato put programs together, what are their fundamental drives? What's behind Sports Waikato?
Well, we just put together an updated new strategic plan, but we basically work in 4 streams of our key priority areas, and the first one is healthy, active lifestyles. So that's around people choosing to enjoy, to do physical activity and recreation, and really enjoy it and make it a lifelong habit. So that's about wanting people to get more active and give opportunities in the community for them to be more active. And our second area is young people, so we want to work with young people to give them the skills to be physically active, and our Energisers working in primary schools. I don't know if you've seen or heard about the Energisers. They're people that work in all the primary schools in the Waikato area to make sure that they know about physical activity and healthy eating. So, and it's about them getting the skills so that they can participate in sport and enjoy being physically active. And then our third area is community sports. So that's about working with clubs and schools to help coaches and officials and really try and make sport an enjoyable experience for children, so they want to keep playing as adults.
So they're Energiser. So these people aren't going in just to teach about physical activity. They're talking about good health as well, good eating.
Nutrition. Yeah, really important that kids have that message these days, and it seems to be working. They did a bit of evaluation after the first 3 years, and it seems to have made quite a difference with the knowledge about these things, and also about the physical activity and their fitness levels from testing. So it's a really great program, and the messages go home to the parents as well, so that it's a holistic approach, because you can't just be telling the children these things at school if their parents are going to not be on board with the information as well.
So some of the community facilities that you guys pretty much have every sport?
We don't have every sport, but in different communities there are sport, and we have people that can help those sports to develop if they want to. So we have the members of a team that can help, and there's pretty much basic structures in sport that you can help the sport to grow. And it's about volunteers, it's about the coaches, it's about the players, it's about the programs. So yeah, we've got people in our organisation that are really keen to get in there and help those clubs and schools wherever they need it.
Sounds very supportive. So, regional facility strategy. What's the details of that?
So that's something that Sport Waikato has just started. We did an audit of facilities. So the region goes from up in Thames right down to Turangi, and the audit was about finding out what facilities there are, what little country halls there are, tennis courts, the bigger facilities in all the towns. And from that audit, they're doing a strategy. All the district councils have come on board, because financially at the moment, obviously people want quite a few things in their regions and their district, but it's really based around the need and how can we work smarter to get the best facilities for everyone in the region. I know there has been some concern about smaller towns thinking, we're not going to get what we want, but it's not about that at all. It's actually about having the best facility in the small towns that's going to meet the needs, utilising the money that's available. So it's a really good project, and hopefully we'll get some great facilities that everyone can use that are going to be sustainable for a long period of time.
And if people do want to get involved with Sports Waikato and volunteer for a sports team and coaching and that kind of thing, what can they do?
Well, they can either contact Sport Waikato, and we've got district coordinators like myself based around all the district council areas. But the easiest way is probably to look on our website. We've got a really good website, and you can just go and have a look at that. It's got lots of information. But also you can go and contact your local club and just tell them that you're interested and see how you might be able to contribute.
Well, thank you very much, and all the best with the regional facility strategy.
Thank you, Hilary.
Just ahead, we meet some high school students with a delicious treat. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. As part of the Young Enterprise Scheme, a group of Otamotai College students are selling a kiwi fruit-based snack bar. Hilary went along to try the non-bar sensation.
Vaughan, tell us about your product.
It's a kiwi fruit snack bar, and we came up with the product ourselves, so like the recipe and stuff like that. We wanted to use as many locally sourced ingredients as we could, so we sort of looked around a bit and got some ideas and then sent them off to the food technologist and came back with a few samples. And yeah, we came up with what we've got now, the non-bar, and yeah.
What is the Young Enterprise Scheme?
It's a scheme put on by the Young Enterprise Trust. It's sponsored by the Lions Foundation, and it's aimed at giving like college students an opportunity to run a business for a year. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
So why did you guys want to enter?
Well, a lot of us took part in the Young Enterprise Scheme last year and really enjoyed it and found it a good experience. So we thought we'd give it another go this year, and yeah, it's a good experience out in the real world.
Why a health bar?
Well, we went away and looked at what bars are already out on the market, and we decided what we liked in them, what we didn't like in them. And then we also did some market research at school, so to see what people our age liked. And then we came back with that information to make the non-bar.
So what didn't you like in other bars?
Well, we just looked at like the textures and things like that. So sometimes we didn't really like that, or didn't like the look, or just a bit powdery or things like that, you know.
Why did you guys want to source local ingredients? Well, why was that so important?
Just because it's local. Like, we're from the Bay and we're pretty proud to be from here as well. So we thought it was just logical to use ingredients from where we're from. So we looked at sourcing, well, we got our ingredients from like award-winning places, like suppliers. So we got them from a few of our ingredients, like the kiwi fruit seeds and puree from kiwi fruits, and the vanilla essence from Halala Vanilla as well. Yeah, so we just thought it was important to get things from where we're from.
And kiwi fruit, big industry here, was that quite important that the main flavour was kiwi fruit?
Oh yeah, of course. There's a lot of kiwi fruit produced in the Bay, and we thought it was a pretty good opportunity to use some of it. A lot of it's not sort of up to this like export standard or quality, so we thought that we'd use the stuff that's not up to that standard. So we got approached by a place called Kiwi Fruits, who used that excess kiwi fruit as it is, and yeah, we came up with using it in our bar.
How did you go about making the bar?
Well, our partnership with Kiwi Fruits really helped us a lot because they introduced us to the food manufacturer, the food technologist, Hayden, over in Hamilton, and we came to him with the specifications of what we decided that we'd like in the bar. Then he kind of told us what would work and what wouldn't work, and then yeah,
He gave us a few samples as well, and then we ended up going over towards the end of it for the final product run, and we got actively involved in the final product line, which was pretty cool.
That would have been quite a fascinating process. So what did you guys learn about that?
It was just how like a food sort of place works. It was just a new experience really. It was quite cool.
Did you have a few trial and errors?
Yeah, we did. Well, initially we were wanting to do ice cream, a kiwi fruit ice cream. Like, we were always keen on using the excess kiwi fruit that wasn't for export, but we initially thought we were going to do it with ice cream. So yeah, that didn't really work out. We went to our regional coordinator, Anne, down at the Chamber of Commerce, and we took our idea to her and to see what she'd think of it. And she thought, she pointed us in the direction of kiwi fruits, and yeah, we went into a meeting thinking we were going to do ice cream and came out of it with the idea of doing a snack bar.
So why not ice cream?
It just proved to be a little bit too difficult. It wasn't going to work.
It is a rather clever name, so how did you guys come up with a name?
Well, it was one of our other directors that really put us on track for that name. He has a younger brother who, whenever he sees something that he likes to or wants to eat, he'd say nom nom nom. So we sort of took that on board and shortened it down a little bit, and yeah, it sort of stuck.
Who is your target market?
Our target market would be teenagers mainly, but I wouldn't say that that limits us. It's just who we've got the most insight and access to. Like, we've managed to get our bars into a few local canteens and things, so yeah.
And has it been quite successful in school canteens?
Yeah, I think so. We've sold a few so far.
Now, you recently went to the Papamoa markets and it was quite a success. Tell us about that.
Well, it was our first market and we weren't really too sure about what we're going to, like, what to expect or anything. So we predicted that we were going to sell around 30, maybe 30 to 40 bars, but we ended up selling closer to 60, so we were pretty stoked with that, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
What have been the reactions so far when people try the bar?
I'd say they've been pretty pleased so far. Most people have a go and then they want to try it again, so that's really good. Been really supportive of it.
And what is the next step towards getting to the national awards in Wellington?
Well, we just need to keep going as we are. We need to keep getting like media presence and stuff like that, and keep making sales is always a good thing. And then we've got to do an annual review at the end of the year, and that's a pretty big deal, I think, for the mark. And then we just need to come top in our region and yeah, get down there.
Now, you both are year 13, so what happens next year when you both leave school, and what if it becomes a huge success?
Well, we've got a memorandum of understanding with our partners Kiwifruits, and we've organised that they'll purchase our intellectual property at the end of the year, so they'll take it on after the year.
Hilary mentioned that she did try the Nomba and said it was quite delicious. Now that is the news for today. We really want our viewers to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have any news, including your own video or photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I'll be back tomorrow night with more guests from in and around the region. I'm Amy Forrest. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.